This video is about fetal monitoring and interpreting strips. A fetal monitoring strip can be either reassuring or non-reassuring. So we will start with what a reassuring strip looks like, and this is good. This is what we want a strip to look like. The baseline fetal heart rate is going to be 110 to 160. That's the golden number. And then there's two things that make us think this baby's doing really well. They have moderate variability and they're showing accelerations. So what are those two things? Moderate variability is fluctuations in the fetal heart rate. They're not just 120, 120, 120 with no variation. It's moving up and down some within that 110 to 160 range. Accelerations are short-term rises in the fetal heart rate, not above 160, but say from 120 to 150. And usually that comes with a contraction with movement from the mother and lasts for about 15 seconds. A good acceleration is 15 by 15, meaning an increase of 15 beats per minute lasting about 15 seconds. So let's take a look at exactly what that would look like. First, I want to show you what a bad strip would be. This strip shows absent variability. See how the heart rate is just staying at 120 for the whole time? It's not really fluctuating up and down. This is an ominous sign, so this would not be a reassuring fetal heart rate strip. Now this fetal heart rate strip could be either bad or good. This is what we call marked variability. You see how much variation there is in that fetal heart rate? It's down to 110, it's up to 160. It's bouncing back and forth a lot. We don't want quite this much variability, but this is much better than having absent variability. This baby is super, super active. So this mom could be just about to deliver, or this could be a bad sign. This is up to the provider to interpret. You won't have to make that call, but you would want to let your provider know about a change of marked variability. All right, now this is what you want your fetal heart rate strip to look like. This is moderate variability. The heart rate is moving up and down in appropriate amounts. The baby is not too active, but we still see some variations in the heart rate. This fetal heart rate strip shows moderate variability, and this is a reassuring sign. So now let's move on to our other reassuring sign, accelerations. Remember, a good acceleration is about 15 by 15, meaning an increase of 15 beats per minute lasting about 15 seconds. This usually comes with contractions, and you can see that in this heart rate strip. The very bottom strip is the mother's contractions, so you can see she has had 3 in the time of this strip. And then just above that first contraction in the fetal heart rate strip, you see a 15 by 15 acceleration, a rise in that baby's heart rate by 15 beats per minute that lasts about 15 seconds, and then it comes back down to our baseline. In between contractions, the baby is exhibiting moderate variability, and this is a very reassuring heart rate strip. Everything looks wonderful. So, moving on, we're going to talk about a non-reassuring fetal heart rate strip. For a fetal heart rate strip to be non-reassuring, any of these things can be applicable. Fetal tachycardia, meaning a heart rate above 160. Fetal bradycardia, meaning a heart rate less than 110. Decreased variability, variable decelerations, or late decelerations. Now, we already talked about what decreased variability looks like, so let's talk about these two types of decelerations and what that could mean for the fetus. Here's an example of what variable decelerations look like. They're easy to spot on a strip because they appear like a V for variable. They come at unrelated times to the contractions, and they're a sharp dip in the fetal heart rate with a quick recovery, which is what makes that V pattern. Variable decelerations are usually non-reassuring, but they can be related to a change in position where the mom has then compressed the umbilical cord or a contraction. In that case, they're not as ominous, but any type of deceleration we want to be wary of. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about are late decelerations. This is the most ominous sign in a fetal heart rate, so if you see one of these on the NCLEX, you can definitely mark your strip as non-reassuring. These are decelerations of at least 15 beats per minute, lasting longer than 15 beats per second, and they occur after a contraction. Do you see how on this strip, the bottom strip again is the mother's contraction, and the top strip is the fetal heart rate monitoring strip? We see the mother's contraction, and then as the contraction subsides, we have our onset of the deceleration. It lasts at least 15 seconds before the heart rate comes up, and it's over before the next contraction. But it doesn't happen concurrently or before the contraction. It's called a late deceleration because it occurs after the contraction. This is an ominous sign and is a non-reassuring fetal heart rate strip. All right, those are the basics of fetal heart rate monitoring. You're definitely ready for those questions on the NCLEX.